Me Starheart, and I am here today to talk about ceremonial tips. This is a cultural guide to spiritual and sacred space for no matter where you're going. But especially if you're coming to one of our retreats, we have a training process that we're very proud of and that we would like to think would serve anyone on a journey in any different sacred ceremonial space. So, there are a lot of things to learn when you first come to a retreat. Especially if it's your first time, there's going to be a learning curve in terms of understanding this culture. It's a different culture than the mainstream culture, and not everybody understands even just the words sacred. So, we have a package that we send out to people who are coming to ceremony, and the first thing that we talk about is your daily personal practice. Establishing sacred space within yourself is the most important thing that you can do because you're going to want to have the habit of having a beautiful place that you can go to when you get into any difficulty. So, if you want to be successful for anything in life, really, you know that you have to prepare. If you're going on a business trip or if you're taking a college test, you already know that you have to prepare, you have to study, and the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. So it's not a psychedelic trip. A lot of people think of this like an acid trip or, like having mushrooms. But this particular medicine is a lot different because it takes you directly into the spirit world. When medicine people go into the other world to acquire information about their patients or about important things for their tribe, traditionally we make relationships with things on the other side that are allies and that support us. However, most people don't have the experience of having had to do that or worked with those energies, so they don't have a protocol and they don't have a procedure. The first and best way that you can actually start getting used to this is by doing a daily spiritual practice. 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon is enough to at least get you going so that when you get to ceremony, it's not a big shock. All right. When we go to the other side, what happens is our emotional things and all this baggage and stories that no longer serve us begin to come to the surface for examination. And so, if you're not already prepared and familiar with your inner terrain, it can be something of a shock. Then, if you get triggered and you get upset in the middle of ceremony and you begin to project or argue or have troubles, become dysregulated, it's really difficult to recover once you're already in that space. So, it's best to prepare beforehand and start getting used to that inner world by doing your daily practice. Well, what do we recommend? We recommend yoga, breath work, journaling, and any type of martial arts such as Tai Chi, Qigong, or Kung Fu. The more traditional, the better. Um, there's this other concept of sacredness. That's another reason why we ask people to do their daily practice, because you want to develop that sacred space within. In English, it sounds kind of strange. What does sacred mean? It's one of the questions that we ask in our introduction when we send out the materials to participants. What is sacred to you? Whether that's love or family or your own personal spiritual practice or your religion, there needs to be something that's sacred so that you're able to get into that space when it comes time in the retreat. So, another thing that's really important is leaving your assumptions behind. All of the things that you know already from your life and from your 3D world may not apply to this other space, to the ceremonial space, to the spiritual space, to the psychedelic space. You're going to encounter things that you've never seen before. I know I do every single time I encounter things that I've never thought of, and they're very profound journeys. So it takes a long time to process also. And we'd encourage you to leave your assumptions behind on that level as well, because some people it takes a day or two, some people it takes a month or two, and other people it may take a lifetime to process some of the things that come up during ceremony. So there you go. You want to ask yourself beforehand and journal, what are the things that trigger me? What are the things that I wish to resolve? What are the ways that I have to handle things when my emotions come up and get uncomfortable. You want to be prepared beforehand to have a way that you can handle this. So, aside from that, we would say be ready to surrender all of your electronic devices. Be ready to check out of the outside world for a month before you're going to establish these new habits. You're going to do your daily practice. You're going to journal. You're going to have a special diet where you stay away from any processed foods, meats, dairy, alcohol, drugs, and media. So you want to begin to fast before from all of those things. Also, what you take in is more than just what you ingest through your mouth. You ingest energies, you ingest social media, you ingest a lot of different things. So, we want to start to clean out that internal space before we go to retreat, because when you go within, you'll find that all of the junk that you just put into your brains over the past 30 days is still there. And it's not a great time to have to do house cleaning. Another thing that's really important is when you come to ceremony the first 3 times, we recommend no matter where you're going, but especially when you're coming to ours, that you maintain noble silence. When we're in the talking stick circle, which is something that's a time honored tradition, this is where we pass the stick around. This is so that people who tend to dominate others have an opportunity to learn to listen, and people who tend to listen more have an opportunity to speak. But it represents the circle of life, it represents something sacred, and we don't typically talk outside of the sacred circle because we want to maintain that inner stillness and we want to allow other people to enjoy their inner stillness as well. So, those are the tips. One, respect the sacred space by having done your work. Two, think about what sacred space means to you. Three, you're investing in yourself. You're not buying a trip or a service or anything else like that. You are actually investing in a journey that will change your entire life. So you should take it with that level of seriousness and preparation. And four, when you're anxious, your stuff comes up. How you do ceremony is how you do life. So remember, the things that come up during ceremony are an opportunity for you and you only to examine what's coming up. It's not for someone else to examine, it's not for someone else to fix, and it is an opportunity for you to go really deep within yourself and understand more of that beautiful universe that resides within your heart. These are our tips and our cultural guide to spiritual and sacred space. I really hope that my sound worked this time because take 3 is a charm, right? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I hope that you're having a wonderful